Good morning. Today we'll begin the Commonwealth's presentation in this interest arbitration case. So I'm going to turn it right over to Brian.
Good morning, Mr. Drew, members of the panel. Ladies and gentlemen, it's good to see everybody again. I'm joined here today at the table with David Hackett of Buchanan, Ingersoll & Rooney, and Brian Knowles with the Bureau of Labor Relations and the staff from the Department of Corrections and Office Administration who are here to help us present our case in chief. We come to you today in what is unquestionably the worst Commonwealth economy in decades. Prior to taking office, Governor Corbett recognized a real $4.2 billion budget deficit. Some would argue that it's 3.7. Some would argue that it's 3.5. Some would argue that it's 4.9. We are talking billions of dollars in deficit. To their credit, the association came to the table and said they want to be reasonable. They recognize the trying times. They recognize the economy of the Commonwealth. They recognize the economy of the nation as a whole. In addition to being corrections officers, they're citizens. They have friends, they have family, they see what's happening everywhere. But we must analyze the Commonwealth or the association's proposals in light of what exists today. Today, the median corrections officer makes $51,000. The average corrections officer makes almost $56,000. Compared to the workers in the Commonwealth, their family, their friends, their neighbors, an individual in the workforce with less than a high school degree makes an average of $19,000. A person in the workforce with a high school graduate or graduate equivalency makes $27,000. A Commonwealth citizen with a college degree makes an average of $32,000. Or I'm sorry, with some college or an associate's degree makes $32,000. A person with a college degree makes an average of $47,000. A person with a graduate or professional degree in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania makes on average $62,000 a year. During the association's case in chief, they brought in an expert. That expert testified that the association's members are severely underpaid at the beginning of their career, are underpaid comparatively throughout their career, and have the fortune, if they make it to the end, of being one of the highest paid corrections officers in the area. That argument has to be taken in context of what exists today. There are over 11,000 people on the civil service list who want a job at the Department of Corrections. The quit rate of this group is less than 2%, compared to the national average of almost 14%. The Commonwealth does not have a problem recruiting candidates, and the Commonwealth does not have a problem retaining corrections officers. It is a hard job, but it is a good job. If you look at their earnings compared to the contiguous states, and I won't go through and testify as to all the different numbers. We'll bring in an expert who will provide lots of comparable evidence. But if you just address the association's expert, in these 7 contiguous states, the starting salary for the Commonwealth is 4th of 7. After 1 year, the Commonwealth goes to 3 of 7. After 8 years, the Commonwealth goes to the 2nd highest paid corrections division of all 7 states. You will continue under this current wage progression as the second highest paid unit compared to the 7 contiguous states until the end of your career. But for 2 or 3 years where it goes from 2 to 3 and then back to 2. In the years leading up to this interest arbitration, the corrections officers have received a compounded 10.3% wage increase. 10.3% in the previous 3 years. The 3 years in which the economy has never been worse since the Great Depression. The upper bound consumer price index for the northeastern corridor, the northeastern section of the United States, was a high of 3.3%. When this unit made 10.3% in wage increases, the rest of the country saw an increase of 3%. Now the association comes to the panel and says it wants to be reasonable, that they're good workers, it's a hard job, they're entitled to better wages. They have proposed for an average employee of 9 years or 10 years, a 9% increase in 1 year. If that employee happens to be entitled to shift differential, they are asking for a 13% increase. For an employee of 20 years, they're asking for almost 18%. 18% in 1 year. Now, in order to offset what they recognize as increases in wages, they have proposed to this board the idea that they can save the Commonwealth money. And during their presentation, they identified a way to save money through health benefits. Let me be clear, their proposal does not save the Commonwealth 1 penny. Even if you agree with Mr. Einhorn's testimony that an effective Get Healthy program or a more effective Get Healthy program will save money on the benefit side, that will inure to the benefit of the PEBTF. The Commonwealth is not the PEBTF. The only way the association can save money through benefits is to agree to a lower contribution from the Commonwealth. Whether Get Healthy is successful or unsuccessful only changes the cost that PEBTF pays. Our cost is fixed. We have a fixed, right now, $440 contribution per pay. The association has not proposed to change that number. The association's proposals do not find any savings for the Commonwealth. They only add to its bottom line. In today's reality, that's unreasonable. It's unreasonable when the men and women who work in the private sector see less, and it's unreasonable when the governor has asked every single public employee to share in the cost. Every single person has been asked to be responsible. A 14% proposal isn't. Today we'll focus our presentations on the Department of Corrections and our forensics units to give you an idea as to what goes into the administration of our prison system. First, we have Tim Ringler, Deputy Secretary Tim Ringler, and Deputy Secretary Mike Klopotowski. Deputy Secretary Ringler started his career with the Department of Corrections in 1982 and is currently the acting Deputy Secretary for Administration. Deputy Secretary Klopotowski is the Deputy Secretary for the Eastern Region. Both have committed their careers to the Commonwealth. Both respect not only the work that each of their employees performs, but it understands the conditions that they live and work in. We must evaluate the work that they perform with the economy as it exists today. And with that, I present Mr. Klopotowski and Mr. Ringler.
Morning, gentlemen. Could you both state your names for the record, please?
Timothy S. Ringler.
Michael D. Klopotowski.
Welcome.
Okay. It appears that it's been turned over to us to start our presentation. Before getting into the slides, just wanted to give you a little additional background on us. I've been the acting Deputy Secretary since July of 2010. Prior to that time, I was Director of the Bureau of Administration, which handles finances, procurement, vehicles, and a number of other administrative activities for a period of 7 years. Prior to that, I was the Chief Budget Officer for the department for 19 years. So in reality, for about 27 years now, I've been working in a lead role in budget management for the Department of Corrections. Prior to that time, I was a budget analyst for a few years. I was in the first class of the Commonwealth Management intern program that was started back by Governor Thornburg. Master's in Public Administration from Penn State, and also a bachelor, a BA in Political Science from Penn State also, and a veteran of the United States Air Force.
Good morning. I began my career with the Department of Corrections in 1984 at the SCI at Dallas as a corrections officer. Prior to that, I served 4 years in the U.S. Navy, was honorably discharged, and I pursued my education. I attained an associate's degree, and I went on to attain a bachelor's degree. I worked at SCI Dallas for about 3.5 years, and I laterally transferred to the SCI at Retreat as a corrections officer. During my 16 or 17 year tenure at Retreat, I ascended through the correctional officer rank structure from CO1, sergeant, lieutenant, captain, and finally major of the guard. In July of 2004, I was appointed as Deputy Superintendent for Facilities Management at the facility at SCI Waymart. I spent some time there in December of 2007. I was named Superintendent at SCI Dallas to succeed Superintendent Winder, who announced his retirement. I served in that capacity until September of 2009, when I was appointed acting Deputy Secretary for the Eastern Region, and then appointed in November of that year. My duty as Eastern Region Deputy Secretary, I oversee facilities in the Eastern Region. I have 4 facilities that are located in the Central Region, and a facility that's located in the West, for a total of 12 facilities that I oversee in working with the superintendents and their administrative staffs at those facilities. Thank you.
Okay, well, we're going to move on.